Shavasti, could you please share with us what is the key to come to peace?
Well, coming to peace with something is a process. I'm not here to pretend or to say that it's a simple 1, 2, 3, hey presto, it's done. It can be a process of many years for many people, particularly if you have experienced significant trauma growing up. However, we cannot heal what we don't accept. And so once we accept that something has happened, so we cannot heal what should not have happened. We can only heal what has happened. And in order to heal what has happened, we first have to fully accept, yeah, this happened to me. hmm And so we can sit with the question of, well, why did it happen to me? And there doesn't have to be a particular reason. And so we can get stuck on the why. And quite often I have clients who are really motivated through only wanting to understand why something in particular happened to them. And often there isn't an answer, or the answer is very complex. You were born to wounded parents, and they were born to wounded parents, and they were born to wounded parents, etc., etc., etc. And so we see that certain behaviors and traumas are passed down from generation to generation. And so that's the simplest form of why. But the fear that many people have is that this bad thing happened to them because there's something intrinsically wrong with them. That somehow they are a bad person and they caused this bad thing to happen to them. And so that's the first thing that needs to be addressed, the lie of that. And so bad things happen to innocent people. And so when a parent is abusive to a young child, the child very more often than not internalizes that and believes, well, there must be something wrong with me. So what we've observed is that when parents abuse children, they don't stop loving their parents, they stop loving themselves. So that is the first hurdle, to face the truth of that when it comes to coming to peace with something. Then the second part is really accepting that this happened, and it happened to me, and that there isn't something wrong with me that caused this to happen to me, but there is something within the family system, there is something distorted in terms of the behavior that's been passed down from generation to generation that caused my mother, that caused my father, that caused my uncle, that caused my grandfather, caused my grandmother to treat me in this way. And so once we step back and we say, well, this is the mother that I got, or this is the father that I got, or these are the grandparents that raised me, and this is what happened to me. Once we step back and we're able to accept that, and we stop seeing ourselves as either being fully to blame or partly to blame for what happened, then we're able to be in that place of acceptance more readily. And so coming to peace with something is coming to peace with the fact that something did actually happen and that there was nothing that we could do about it. So that is the first major step. Now, some people have significant trauma, and so this is not a mental quick fix. You know, quite often when I'm on social media, I often see these very simplistic memes that are shared, and memes that tell people, well, if you're depressed, it means you're living in the past. Well, trauma lives and has a life of its own in the body, and so just to think positively about something is not going to heal trauma. That is a process of many years for many people. But the first step is really to sit back and say, this happened to me. It didn't happen to anybody else, and there's nothing I can do about this. And the fact that we accept that it happened. And accepting that it happened doesn't say that it's okay that it happened. It doesn't say that those who did it are now innocent, but it does say that I'm no longer arguing with the greater forces of fate that brought me into this place. I'm no longer arguing with the fact itself. And so that is the first step. Mhm. And so part of that first step is also coming to a place, and this sometimes frightens people when I say this, coming to a place where we give up all hope, and I really mean giving up all hope that we'll ever have the happy childhood that we wanted, and really receiving the childhood that we actually got. And when we make that movement, then we are in a better place, as I mentioned in another video, of bowing to the gift of life itself, and then being able to receive all of the goodness that also came from our ancestral heritage. You see, when we move into the world of family constellations and ancestral healing, we can take on this new image and this new idea that only trauma and only bad things got passed down to us by our ancestors, and that simply is not true. And so there's a lot of goodness there. And when we're only focused on the trauma, when we're only focused on the negatives, then we also cut ourselves off from access to the positive life force energy that also flows to us from our ancestral heritage.